Good morning. It is 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hope you're having a fantastic morning. We are 23 years removed from 9/11. Crazy, man. 23 years. Could you imagine telling somebody on September 12th, 2001, that in less than 25 years, our southern border would be wide open and we would have terrorists pouring into our country? No. They would look at you like you were crazy. Yet that's the reality that we face today. And still, the country that we once knew is no longer here. Kamala Harris has failed as vice president, failed as border czar, and is letting those terrorists pour in. And it's wild that we're not even a quarter century away, and it seems like everybody has forgotten 9/11. Every year I find this picture, and it's of a little girl, and she's standing in front of the Twin Towers. This girl's got to be 4 or 5. She's standing in front of the Twin Towers, and there's a caption, and it says, "The world you were raised to survive in no longer exists." And every year I look at this picture, and it hits me right in the feels. If you've never seen this picture, it's on my Twitter account, my Instagram account, at Chris Hand on Air. Every single year I think about this picture, and I think about the country that I grew up in until 8th grade and the country that we're living in now. I think about all the changes that we had to make in the name of security. We needed to have all of these changes to keep people safe. Yet here we are today, and it doesn't seem like they really care about keeping us safe at all. It seems like after all these years, this was really just about control. And these temporary restrictions that they placed on us have been temporary now for 23 years. Taking your shoes off at the airport, not being able to walk your mother or your father to the gate. It's just completely changed. And I do a lot of work with a lot of social media influencers and young conservatives. And I was actually doing work with this one guy, and he's born in 2002. And you know, he's of voting age now. He doesn't know what the world was like before 9/11. And it blows my mind how many people don't understand how much we've lost since that day. We lost a lot of people that day, but that wasn't the only thing we've lost. We've lost a lot of freedom. We have. And because of that day, these alphabet agencies have just ballooned to gigantic proportions in the name of safety, in the name of keeping us safe. And yet it doesn't seem to actually register that they're not keeping us safe. We're at a greater risk for a terrorist attack today than at any point since 9/11, 2001. Where are these people who scream for security and for safety? Where are they with the wide open southern border? Where are they with the terrorists pouring in? Where are they with the Chinese nationals, the Pakistani nationals, the Iranians, the people from Gaza that are coming over our border? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. I fully believe that these restrictions that have been placed on us, temporary measures back in 2001, they were for control. And I think that we have absolutely lost something in this country, and I don't know if we'll ever get it back. So every year I see this picture of this young little girl, and it says, the world you were raised in no longer exists, and it just hits. It hits. And every year that goes by, it hits more and more and more. I'll never forget where I was that day. I was young. I was in 8th grade. And I know that you'll probably never forget where you were that day, but we're now in a country where there's a generation of Americans that are old enough to vote that have no idea what it was like before. And that's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And we have a woman running for president who's been vice president for 3.5 years that doesn't seem to give a damn that terrorists are pouring into our country. And that's infuriating. That's absolutely infuriating. And this woman had the audacity last night to get up on a stage and lie to the American people during a debate. Now we knew she was going to lie. This is something that we expected to happen, but it's still infuriating. It still makes my blood boil. And I'm sitting. I watched the debate twice. We had a great time last night at Scoreboard at Cedar Creek. Our listeners are the best. There's a lot of people that came to see us, and I consider them friends, and part of this big family that we have here at WTN. And I was grateful to be able to be a small part of this radio station and be there with them last night. And as we're watching this, it became pretty clear to me early on that Trump was winning, and I feel like you might have thought the same thing. And after I got home and I watched it again, I was like, yeah, Trump clearly won. Trump clearly won, and I believe that's why they released the Taylor Swift announcement. If Kamala was like clearly just mopping the floor with Donald Trump, then they would have timed that endorsement for a different news cycle. I fully believe it. If Trump didn't win, I think they would have held off. When he said, excuse me, I'm speaking, sound familiar? And she essentially retreated and bowed down. That was them waving the white flag. Trump won bigly. And he won on a myriad of issues. He won on the economy. He won on immigration. He won on foreign policy. There were some areas where it was a tie, like the climate change stuff. Whatever. The abortion argument, I call it a tie because it was just circular arguing. They just went round and round and round and round and round. It was ridiculous. Did Trump lose some areas? Yep, sure did. Sure did. When healthcare came up and Donald Trump said, I have a concept of a plan, it was like, that was the one time during the entire debate where I went, you weren't prepared for that question. And he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't prepared for the question about Obamacare and how to repeal, replace, improve. He wasn't prepared at all. So give her a win under healthcare. He just wasn't ready for Obamacare. And that was the only spot where I will point to and say, yeah, honestly, he looked bad in that moment. But on the flip side, no one's ever going to remember that moment. It wasn't clippable. It wasn't fascinating. And in this TikTokified country that we have, where attention spans have shrunk, well, this is not going to play. That nobody's going to remember that. And it honestly was a boring debate. The Trump-Biden debate, far more exciting, far more entertaining. This one was just it was just boring. It was, and I don't see this one having these memorable moments that will live on forever, a la Hillary Clinton. Oh, if I was president, you'd be in jail. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't have any moment like that that's going to really stand the test of time. And I mean, this is with the mainstream media we have now. An assassination attempt couldn't stay in the news for a month. This is how short American attention spans are. This is going to be similar to the way the Kennedy-Nixon debate played out, right? If you watched on TV or if you listened on radio, you had a totally different interpretation of how that debate went down. If you're somebody that watched it live on TV, or if you're somebody that got the clips on the internet after the fact, you're going to have a totally different reaction to how it played out. Because people watching the clips online are just going to see those fun moments, those little bits that really set the internet on fire. But those were few and far between. The entire debate was actually pretty boring. It was honestly, maybe I built it up too much in my head, but I did feel like it was a letdown. And then you get to the meat of everything, and Kamala Harris didn't answer a single question. She didn't answer a single question. No matter how hard the mainstream media is going to try to change reality with their shilling, anyone with a brain that was watching that debate last night understands she didn't answer any questions. And she wasn't pressed the same way Trump was. Trump was pressed constantly. She wasn't pressed like that. She wasn't. She sounded better than Biden, though. Kamala Harris, I mean, low bar. But that may be enough for the leftist media. But do you watch Kamala last night? Even let me ask my leftist friends in the audience, my Matt from Smyrna's. Did you watch Kamala Harris last night and feel inspired or very did you feel like you were instilled with confidence that she can take this job on? Because I wasn't. Granted, I have my own biases against her, but to the liberals out there, did she instill that confidence in you? I mean, at one point, I don't know if you saw this, but she almost cried on the stage talking about foreign policy and wars. She almost cried. Is that who you want to be your commander-in-chief? Not me. Not me. Kamala Harris, she has this problem where she's trying to be the voice of hope and a new direction, and at the same time, she's woven into the establishment. And because of that, she dodged actual softball questions that are generally easy for Democrats to answer. She didn't lean into things that you would expect a Democrat to lean into that could have just been points on the board for her. She didn't lean into student loans. She didn't lean into identity politics. She was essentially very middle of the road on a lot of stuff. And she even boasted about her endorsement from Dick Cheney. Okay, congratulations. Nobody really likes him, but great. Her closing statement was one long platitude, and she was out of energy. She was gassed by the end of it. Trump hit hard a few times. When he said you should go down to Washington, D.C. and do it, that was fantastic. When he said, excuse me, I'm speaking, that was fantastic. When he brought up the pets in Springfield, Ohio, when he brought up the gang members in Aurora, Colorado, fantastic. But his best move of the night was choosing to get the last word. That was the best. But as far as Kamala was concerned, it just wasn't enough. I don't think she did enough in that debate to win the presidential election. There was no energy, no hype. She didn't paint Donald Trump the way she wanted to, like the evil orange man. She didn't make him out to be the villain, which is something that she wanted to do. And she was kind of hidden on stage. Many times it felt like it was Trump versus David Muir, and we didn't really know who the two ladies were on stage. That honestly, I think Trump outperformed Kamala Harris in just about every area. Even when he looked pissed or as leftist media would call him, unhinged. Well, he had a look to himself. Kamala just had a literal politician look. She really gave me Mitt Romney, Jeb Bush vibes. And I don't think people care about her. This was another moment, just like the DNC, where she could have stepped up and really came into her own, and she failed. She fell flat. That's how I interpreted it. But I want to know how you interpreted it. And I also want to get into some of these highlights because there's a lot to dig through on this debate. And I understand that it's better to have a conversation about this because your opinions may not be my opinions. But I want to know what you think. 615-737-9986. Let's go to Pam in Nashville. What do you think about the debate, Pam?
Oh, your favorite independent has some thoughts.
This is why I went to you first. Your middle of the road is middle of the road can get.
I am.
Tell me
this.
Yeah, tell me what.
Well, let me tell you what. I think that Harris did. Now, there's no way I'm going to vote for her. But I do believe that 1 or 2 points, I'm like, okay, well, I can agree with you on this. You could tell she has rehearsed for weeks. They locked her up somewhere and fed her something.
It seemed like every line was rehearsed over and over again. But what points? She had to. What points did you hear from her that you said, okay, I could agree with that?
Well, when, where she was talking about, the issues going over Israel right now, right? So she had me up to the point where she said, but we, she didn't say they, she said we need a two-state solution. No, we don't need a two-state solution. And I was screaming at the television, I'm like, you are so stupid. I said, because look, Israel has offered time and time and time and time again for a two-state solution. They have rejected every time. They want all or nothing, and that's what they're trying to do now. I think the other point was, she sounded much. She did really sound like a Republican. To strengthen the borders, and I'm screaming at the television. I said, "You're so stupid." I said, "You've never been to the border. You don't know what's going on down there."
She hasn't been to Europe either. I will say this. I will say this with the Israel stuff. How long has she had to fix it? She was VP. She was VP on October 7th, 2023. She's been VP every day since then. And
this is what I'm getting at. She's had 3.5 years for economy, for borders, for everything, and she just shook her head when Trump said you couldn't even bother to show up. And you're saying here that you showed support for Israel, but you had to go to a sorority event because when that Yahoo came in. Let me tell you something too. How long did it take for Obama to welcome the Prime Minister of Israel? It took him to his second term, and he wouldn't even shake his hand. How long did it take Biden? It took a tragedy, a massacre, for Netanyahu to be invited back over. Now, I will say this about Trump. Now, Trump has not. The only thing that I'm going to be on board with him was his last word, because this is the trouble with him. He's not swayed me over. I'm going to quote something from Ben Shapiro.
Hey, hang on, Pam. Hold on. We got to get to a break, but let me come back. Do you want to put you on hold, and we'll get to that next. All right, hang out with us. It's 9:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Listen, it's uncertain times. What are you going to do with your financial future? Well, what you should do is call somebody that you trust, and I got a guy that you can trust. It's Paul Winkler and Paul Winkler Inc. You probably know Paul. He's been hosting the Investor Coaching Show on WTN. He's been hosting the show for over 20 years. We run it every Saturday from 3 to 6. And he started that show after he spent time studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. I think that's pretty cool. He's also an avid collector of financial planning designations. He has up to 8 now. So when you don't know what to do with your financial future, when you're uncertain about the future of the country and how you should plan to make sure that you're secure, talk to somebody you can trust. And let me tell you why you can trust Paul. Paul wants to make sure I tell you that I get paid to do these commercials. He wants honesty and transparency up front. I respect the hell out of that. Another thing that I want to tell you is I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because I trust Paul. I trust that they're going to educate me every step of the way, so I never get that uneasy feeling of blind trust. They can do the exact same thing for you. All you got to do is set up a 15-minute phone call today. Hit up his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Coming up on Super Talk 99.7, it's been 23 years since the September 11th attacks. We'll tell you what's in store for today. Also, a measure of inflation has come in a little bit lower, but investors are spooked. We'll take a look at the markets today. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:29 on Super Talk 99.7. Real quick, Pam in Nashville. You said Donald Trump didn't win you over in the debate. We got about 1 minute left, but I want to let you finish your thought.
Okay, so real quick, to quote Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about your feelings. And I think Trump's major problem is this. He gets up in his feelings. I don't care about what you've accomplished or not. What I want to know is, what did the Harris-Biden administration fail at? They failed in Afghanistan.
Yep.
They continuously to fail to get our American Israeli hostages out. All they do is preach at Netanyahu and the Israeli, people over there, my community over there, of what to do when they can't even clean up their own mess here. So I think that he needs to get out of his feelings. I want him to directly talk to me. I want him to directly talk to all of us. That Alan Dershowitz, I'm sure you saw the video where he said, I've left the Democrat Party.
Yep.
And I'm right there with him because, and somebody said back when, that they didn't leave me, they left me. I didn't leave them, they left me.
Exactly, Pam. Hey, Pam, we're here with open arms, ready for you to vote for Trump in November. I appreciate the call. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, it is. It's 9:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, we remember today the devastating attacks of September 11th, 2001. That was 23 years ago today.
23 years ago, this nation was under attack. Well, in just a couple of hours, families of these thousands of victims will gather together for the reading of the names. Throughout the ceremony, 6 moments of silence will be observed, acknowledging when each of the World Trade Center towers was struck and fell, and times corresponding to the attack on the Pentagon and the crash of United Airlines Flight 93.
ABC's Phil Tate. Now, that is temporary fencing you'll see along the Cumberland River downtown. And it comes after the death of Riley Strain, who fell into the river.
The fencing stretches from First Avenue to the Main Street Bridge. While Strain's death brought concerns to light, more recently, first responders found a woman alive down by the banks of the river in this same stretch.
That's Channel 4's Steve Mailing. Amazon is getting into the food wars. ABC's Rhiannon Alley.
Amazon is revealing a new food brand called Amazon Savor, which will include pantry staples, produce, and protein. Most of the products priced under $5. It comes after Walmart and Target announced their own price cuts in recent months, and as the biggest proposed supermarket merger in U.S. history between Kroger and Albertsons. Aldi is also adding to the competition. The discount grocery chain says it's adding 13,000 workers while boosting its average hourly rate to $23.
A measure of inflation has shown that prices are still rising, but the rate is a tad slower. ABC's Dave Packer tells us it could be just the right mix for the Fed.
The Federal Reserve looking at today's release of the August Consumer Price Index as another data point showing inflation easing further last month. The Fed's sure to look at today's report as it meets next week as more evidence that it's safe to lower interest rates. Dave Packer, ABC News.
But investors are seeing some volatility, and the markets are in a sharp sell-off. The Dow Jones Industrials are down 716 points, S&P 500 minus 81, and the NASDAQ is down 174. That's the latest news. Weather's coming up. Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand here for my friends at the Glock Store. We talk a lot about the Glock Store because, it's the best place to buy a Glock. Every Glock is in stock. It's the best place to learn. Every lesson is a private session. It's the best place to shoot. You have private rooms, not public lanes. I could go on and on and on. Trust me, they're the best, but there's a new one. They're the best place to party. No matter what kind of party you're throwing, if it's a birthday party, a retirement party, career team building for your job, do it at the Glock Store, man. It's going to be perfect for whatever celebration you're throwing. They'll give you a VIP room with a full kitchen, dedicated shooting rooms with instructors, shooting activities designed for every level. They'll give you all the ammo. They'll even give you full auto options. Trust me, you're going to have a good time. To get your party started, all you got to do is call my guys at the Glock store, 615-682-6565, 615-682-6565. You just tell them a couple things, like when do you want to do it? How many people are you bringing? And they'll make a custom plan for you. The Glock store, my place to shoot and party, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
Defund the police. She's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
It sure does. It's Super Talk, 99.7 WTN, 939. My name is Chris Hand. That was a zinger. She was waiting to use that herself, and Trump took it away. There's some clips here where Trump is really nailing her to the wall.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end.
He's absolutely right. Kamala Harris has said that she wants mandatory gun buyback programs. The ABC moderators didn't push her on that when she danced around the question later in the night. Kamala Harris does want to ban fracking. I don't care what she says today. The Democrat Black Caucus said during the DNC, we got 70 days to act right, y'all. This is the plan. 70 days to act right. It's less than that now, but you get the drift. But I'm talking now. Sound familiar? That was a mic drop moment for Trump. It was. But the entire night, man, it was absolutely 3-on-1. Absolutely. Trump wasn't just going against Harris. He was going against the moderators. And the ABC moderators had their marching orders. They sure did. And you can see those orders in practice, especially during this clip. This is not bias, right? Like there's a thing that you can say, ooh, they're biased against Trump. No, it was much worse. It was much worse. They directly intervened in Trump v. Harris to change people's perceptions of the information presented. 100%.
Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the president of the United States incited a violent mob.
He said peacefully and patriotically.
To attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died.
Where's the ABC fact check when she says that law enforcement officers died? No law enforcement officers died on January 6th. One person died on January 6th. It was Ashley Babbitt. She's a veteran, and she was unarmed.
And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville.
Oh, here we go.
Where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate.
That's the same way the radical leftists of your base do. Weird.
And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back.
Where were the ABC moderators to step in here? Megyn Kelly said, she nailed it. Megyn Kelly said, well, the ABC moderators did exactly what their bosses wanted. But in this short clip, Trump goes after saying Pelosi was responsible for security at the Capitol on January 6th, which is true. It's true. David Muir intervenes on behalf of Kamala. David Muir cuts him off with a retort I was asking about your actions. And then he goes right over to Kamala to set her up for an answer that I can only imagine he knows coming. Kamala then says she's at the Capitol on J6th. Okay. She was there that morning, but she left to go to DNC headquarters prior to the riot. That's a big piece of information. No fact check, despite the omission. Kamala says Trump incited a mob to attack the Capitol. Again, I interrupted mid-clip because I can't stand it. Peacefully and patriotically, Trump is not charged with inciting violence. No fact check. No fact check from the ABC moderators. Kamala says that police officers died on January 6th. Again, a lie. No fact check from the ABC moderators. And then she goes full hoax. We excuse Biden for going full hoax because of the dementia. We think he's an old man with, his cognitive functions are declining at such a rate that this happens with dementia patients. They fall back on old stories that they can remember. Kamala doesn't have that excuse. Even Snopes has debunked the Charlottesville very fine people hoax. But Kamala gets up there on national TV and just recites it verbatim for fact. And ABC, who can fact check Trump constantly throughout the entire night, doesn't see a problem with her just going out there and lying to the American public. And then we get the stand back and stand by hoax, which of course is, they're planting those seeds that Trump he's got these militias that he's ordering to act. It's garbage. And then we get the bloodbath hoax.
It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law.
What is she talking about? Stand for our country, stand for democracy, stand for rule of law. That's why I'm voting Trump. Brian in the borough, you're next on Super Talk. What are your thoughts on the debate, my man?
Oh, how are you today? I love listening to your show.
Thank you.
Great. I am a political junkie, all the above, but I want to bring a different angle to it.
Do it, man. Let's go.
Last week, I am trying to get my wife and my daughter more politically astute, and we've always tried to have critical thinking with our children, and I don't care if they've got a different opinion, but they better be able to bring up and bring it what their own convictions are. So I want them to train them to think for themselves. So last week I set it up so we were going to watch the debate last night. We watched it, and at first I was irritated because my wife and my daughter were like, all they're doing is arguing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, yeah, but listen. And then I talked to my mom this morning, and all these people are non-political, and they all said the same thing. Why are they attacking each other? There are wars going on. There are needs that need to be met, and they're arguing and they're picking each other apart. And people don't like that. That's a turnoff. I am so disappointed with Trump. I am so disappointed. He really started out the debate great, and then he's so stinking thin-skinned that when she started attacking him, he got emotional.
You think so? That was your take, that he got emotional? I mean, I think he got frustrated when it was 3-on-1 and ABC's constantly fact-checking him. I absolutely wouldn't call it emotional. Like, I remember the 2020 debates versus, but I remember the 2020 debates with Biden where they're screaming over each other, and I could almost understand your critique if we were talking about that debate. I don't know if I see it the same way for this debate, Brian.
I think that he was frustrated, and it showed. And that's what a common, everyday person will look at, and it's a turnoff. It's a complete turnoff. I think he started the debate very well, very poised, straightforward, ignoring her negativity and focusing on the points. But then he got lost. I think the everyday person that is voting looks at surfacey things like that instead of the facts, and that is what directs their vote.
I mean, Brian, I just think that if it's 3-on-1 versus two debate moderators and Kamala, of course you're going to get frustrated. Of course you are, like 100%. And I think that it's very humanizing to get just a little bit pissed when you're dealing with obvious bias with these moderators. I don't know. I mean, I just don't see it the way you do, Brian, but I appreciate you calling in with your opinion, man. Let's go to David in Nashville. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Dave?
Hey, doing well. I just wanted to say, the bar was set so low for Kamala that all she had to do was not go into her explanation of the passage of time, and she was going to be a hero.
Yep.
But the thing, to me, the most important thing and the most critical thing is not what was said, but it was what was not said. When Trump said, "You are a Marxist and your father was a professor Marxist who taught you well," she was silent, which was an admission that was true, and that should scare every American.
Yeah, 100%. She put her hand on her chin on her hand. She did the thinking, man. It was an admission of guilt, and I think you're absolutely right. The fact that she didn't push back on that said everything we need to hear.
And that should be highlighted.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I appreciate the call, Dave. Thanks so much. All right, so it's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. After the break, I want to play a clip from Dr. Phil. He had body language experts on. And I want to also get back to your calls as well. So your thoughts on the debate, bring them to me, 615-737-9986. But wait until you hear what the body language experts had to say about Trump's performance and Kamala's performance and even the moderator's performance. We'll get into that next. It's 9:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
bias.
Up ahead on Super Talk 99.7, how the nation is remembering 9/11 on this 23rd anniversary. Also, TDOT has some good news about road construction. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 9:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. All are the same. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. Dr. Phil. I've really been enjoying Dr. Phil lately. He had a post-debate show, post-debate town hall, and he had two guys on, Scott Roos and Greg Hartley. And these guys are body language experts, and they're detailing what they saw based on body language during the debate. And what they saw was very, very biased moderators. You can give me some audio. Thank you, sir. Can you turn my audio up?
Was there bias by the moderators today, in y'all's opinion?
Let's just look at body language. Look at the facial expressions of people when they're looking at Trump. There was clearly a bias against Trump in their faces. Let's take my other opinion. This is all my opinion. There's a little bit of a thumb on the scale when you ask one person two questions in a row as the primary question, and it's a softball question. That feels like bias to me. I would challenge them to tell me why that's not bias if I were in his situation.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, we're seeing the commentators, they would be speaking at the same time President Trump was. So as he's trying to finish his answer, they would not only answer, they would keep talking as well. And you can tell, and I believe, if I'm correct here, the volume of his microphone might have been a little bit hotter than everybody else's. That's why he sounded so loud. He was speaking loudly, but I think you'll hear this when you listen back and forth. This is my opinion.
Well, let me remind everybody that Scott's a Grammy-nominated music producer, so he knows a little bit about sound.
I caught that too. Did you catch that too? That Trump seemed a little bit louder than Kamala, and they do that on purpose, right? Make him seem more aggressive, more angry. You know, these are subtle things, but it really does play into a bigger picture.
I pay attention to that stuff a little bit. So he sounded a little bit louder to me. So that whether that was on purpose to make him sound more aggressive, I don't know. But he was pretty loud in there.
Here were the questions until I had to walk over here. When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago? Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs. To Trump, why should women trust you on the issue of abortion? To Harris, why did the Biden administration wait until 6 months before the election to take action on immigration? To Trump, how would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? To Harris, why have so many of your policy positions changed? Fracking, assault rifles, the border. To Trump, is there anything you regret about what you did on January 6th? Do you acknowledge that you lost the 2020 election? And in each of these questions to Trump, there were fact-check follow-up questions, and I didn't hear that to Harris.
Nor did I. And there's a way you ask a question. I interrogated people for a long time, and when you're doing that, you want to look at, how do I ask the question? Why didn't you say, why have you not done anything about the border, as opposed to Trump, didn't you? There's a more negative tone often towards Trump. At the end of the day, this is about finding out what they think and giving everybody a chance to understand it. And I thought it was a little heavy-handed at times.
A little heavy-handed at times. I think that's an understatement. What did you think? 615-737-9986. John, James, David, we'll get to your calls next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock here, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We are going up into right around 90 degrees later today. The full forecast is coming up in a couple of moments. As the nation remembers the terrorist attacks on the United States 23 years ago today, relatives of those who died in New York that day spoke of their loved ones.
Uncle Tommy, you were the life of the party and had an infectious smile that could light up any room. We know you're up there with Grandma and Grandpa watching over all of us. We love you, we miss you, and you were never forgotten.
Today's remembrances included 9/11 victims, but also those from the first World Trade Center bombing in 1993 and those who died from 9/11 related cancers. Meantime, in Franklin this morning, a bell ringing ceremony to remember those who died on 9/11. That ceremony before a crowd gathered at police headquarters. Wilson County will also hold a 9/11 observance at the Watertown Ag Pavilion at noontime today. On to other news. Hurricane Francine is headed for a landfall along the Louisiana coast. ABC News meteorologist Ginger Z.
Lafayette, Baton Rouge, Homa, all in the hurricane warning. New Orleans in a hurricane watch. I would worry about those power outages, especially as wind gusts could easily be 75 miles per hour as it traverses past New Orleans tonight.
Yeah, past New Orleans and headed right to Tennessee. We are expecting heavy rains and wind to arrive tomorrow. TDOT is about to reopen the I-40 westbound exit ramp for exit 216 Donaldson Pike. Drivers getting onto I-40 will also have a new ramp to enter the roadway. All of this gets underway at 8 o'clock tonight, so just a heads up and eyes on the road as you approach that area. Well, stocks are in sell-off mode today. The Dow Jones Industrial's down 651 points. Hopes are dimming for more aggressive Fed cuts when the Fed meets next week. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So I get the Dan was saying he was getting a lot of hate texters during the morning. I've been going through the super text line. I love it. I really do. Tickles me pink. I got a first-time texter here, 6620. Probably a first-time listener. He says, I don't know what debate you guys were watching, but it was clear to most that Trump lost. He sounded like a lost, angry old man. Sounded like a broken record with no real policy plans, not to mention how many times he straight out lied. I guess you're okay with a serial liar as a president. Your whole radio station is propaganda. Still voting Trump, don't care. Don't care.
All politicians are truth tellers besides Trump? Is that what we're getting at here?
Every single one. Also, I mean, dude, Kamala Harris went on stage and went with the very fine people hoax. She went with the bloodbath hoax. Serial liar. Get lost. That's it. You know what I'm going to do? I am sending 6620, our first-time texter, a kissy face. I am. This is how you deal with...
his wife or someone's like, what is this? What is this kissy face?
We should just wait until he deletes the text and then like start texting him things like if we were his mistress or something.
Oh, my God.
I wish he can find it. I'll just send him a kissy face.
Don't tempt me, man.
All right. I want to know what you think. 615-737-9986. John in Greenbrier, you've been waiting for a minute, man. I appreciate you holding your thoughts on the debate.
You know, I was a former college debater, and the unfortunate reality is that Trump lost last night. And while Kamala didn't win, he failed in almost every regard. And it's in part due to his arrogance and our expectation setting. In that first debate, it was basically, to use a video game as a reference, right? Biden was tutorial mode. It was a brain-dead bot, and Trump got to win just by mashing A, right? And we looked at that, and we said, hey, that's fantastic. Look how great it is. But he failed to meet that expectation last night when it was set to recruit mode. He couldn't even manage to land a single combo. We can claim that the moderators are biased, or we can turn towards, body language experts. But last night was a night for him to win. She was unimpressive. She was off her game. She was timid. She was afraid. But from January 6th to election integrity to abortion, he was unprepared. And part of this is because of the mythos we established surrounding Trump. The Teflon Don, the infallible guy who's just quick on his feet. Like, he needed to be there last night, and he didn't do it. Your previous caller, Brian, I think was actually correct. Right, when she started pushing back on crowd size, he chased after that like a golden retriever going after a ball. And to continue to mix metaphors here, there were so many layups he could have just put down and could have ended her career last night, but he couldn't do it, both in combination of his just unbridled arrogance and his unwillingness to take things seriously. Had he listened to Tulsi, had he taken this debate prep seriously, we'd be talking about a 3 or 4 point bump. Instead, we're back to where we were the day before, if not in a worse situation, because to most moderates who turn in and who tune in, they hear somebody on one side blabbling incoherently about, platitudes about America and democracy. But on the other hand, you have a guy who's reflexively pivoting towards immigration and defending his crowd sizes, and he can't even answer questions about January 6th, nearly 4 years on. That should have been the questions he was prepared for, and he didn't do it. And I think it was to his detriment last night.
Who did you like in the Republican primaries, John?
I was a Vivek Ramaswamy guy and a Ron DeSantis guy.
Okay, yeah, I mean that tracks. Like you don't like Trump's style or delivery, and I understand that. But he was standing on business when it came to the border, when it came to the economy. He was standing on his record, and Kamala Harris didn't have any retorts. She had to go back to hoaxes that we gave a pass for Joe Biden because of dementia. Kamala Harris, every single line was rehearsed ad nauseum. Was she wearing an earpiece? Was it the Nova H1 earrings, the earbuds? I don't know. It could be. That's definitely a question that's worth investigating. But it was 3-on-1. It was 3-on-1 the entire night. He was fact-checked after fact-checked by the moderators, which they were just gaslighting the American public themselves. And Kamala Harris didn't face any of that scrutiny. Are you telling me that if you go into you said you were a college debater, if you went into a college debate and you were in a 3-on-1 situation where 3 of them are telling you that you're a liar and essentially evil, every question is posed to put you on the defensive, dude, you would look bad. Listen.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, as a conservative college debater, you are often debating against your opponent and agast the judges' biases themselves.
But the thing is, here's the thing. But the thing is that he still nailed the main messages. He still nailed the border and the economy. 100%. 100%. If the main issues to the American people are the economy and the wide open border. Who won those topics last night?
I mean, I think it's
no. I'm just. Did Trump win? Did Trump win on the border, and did Trump win on the economy last night?
I think he wins on substance, but I think in terms of style, it wasn't there. The message, like, look, if I break apart,
but style. Nobody's gonna love his style. Like there's so many. And you said it yourself. You're a Vivek and DeSantis guy. I feel like you're predisposed to not like his style. But
no, I mean, I
understand. Like, I'm not knocking you for it, and I don't want it to come off that way. But like, this is why you were a Vivek DeSantis guy, because you don't like his delivery and his style. But
I don't like the results either, right? So this is a guy who's lost how many governors?
What results?
Okay,
when he was president, the results were no new wars.
Though, right?
What's that?
100% agree. You have to let me articulate this, right? Trump, for all of his good, and I do believe there are fantastic things about his administration, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to just be one of these blind haters, but I have to take a look at what happened under Trump's administration. Because of his attitude and rhetoric, he reinvigorated the mainstream media. We lost multiple governorships going from like 30 to 25, almost parity with Democrats. We lost thousands of House seats on the state level, all because he couldn't control his arrogance. And when you check that ego, if you were to take pure distilled Trump and put him in his best form, he's going to knock anybody else out. But he cannot and will not be reined in. And that inability to be checked by humility and that basic dedication to hubris has made him a liability at times. It's not that I hate Trump. It's that I can't stand when he's off message. And last night he had an invaluable chance. You could say it's 3 against 1, but it's always been 3 against 1, 4 against 1, 5 against 1 when it comes to Trump. And he has handled it better in the past. And last night he flubbed, and he knew he was walking into the lion's den because the head of ABC News helped Kamala meet her husband. This was completely expected. And instead of, Kamala may have prepared remarks, but Trump could have and should have been more prepared for what happened last night. And we can't excuse that. Listen,
did he miss a few layups? Did he miss a couple times where he could have dunked on her? Yes. I'll give you that. I think he won the debate. I think he absolutely won the debate. If you like the platitudes from Kamala Harris and you like the whispers of sweet nothings in your ear, well, then you're going to come away from that debate and say Kamala Harris won. I think if you look at it objectively, it was a 3-on-1 hit job. Trump was treated far differently than the other candidate, and he still delivered on the main issues for the American people. So I love the call, John, but I'll have to agree to disagree.
Hey, have a great day.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Let's go to James. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, James?
Not much. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you? Appreciate you holding.
So I guess, yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for taking my call. I guess for the last caller and the caller, Brian, that called in a little earlier, I guess supposedly we're supposed to just sit there, if you're in a boxer and you got 3 guys beating the living crap out of you, I guess you're supposed to just sit there and just take it and not say nothing back. I mean, dude, at some point you got to fight back.
Yep.
You can't just sit there and let them walk all over you, and that's exactly what happened last night. I mean, David Murr, I would have loved to punch him in the mouth a couple times. I mean, was Trump debating Kamala, or was he debating David? David, I wish Trump would have said, hey, David, man, get a podium, come on up here.
Yeah, honestly.
And at some point.
I think you nailed it, James.
And one other thing, too, there's one negative thing I'm going to say about Trump. It's very minor, but I didn't like it. And the whole time he was up there standing, he was hunched over the whole time. I wish he would have stood tall.
Yeah,
that's the only negative thing I got to say.
Well, listen, I think, and to the last caller's point, and to your point, I think that, and I appreciate the call, James. I think there are negative things that you can point at with Trump. I pointed out the fact that he wasn't prepared for the Obamacare question. He wasn't. That's fine. Where does Obamacare rank on issues for the American people today in 2024? Maybe it was a hot button issue in 2016. In 2024, is that going to sway somebody in the voting booth? No. What's going to sway you in the voting booth is the border and the economy. And I'm also of the opinion that the majority of the American public have already made their decision, right? Like the majority of the American public aren't going to be swayed by this debate one way or the other. They're already going to vote for who they're going to vote for. And I'll also point out, I do believe that the timing of the Taylor Swift endorsement was because in the back with Kamala's team, they didn't think they did a great job. They wanted the coverage to be dominated by Taylor Swift. And I think that's why the endorsement dropped immediately following the debate. And to Taylor Swift, What are you doing? I understand that we're in Nashville. There must be somebody in the listening audience that has Taylor Swift's ear, and I would like to point out this tweet from Scott Adams. Expensive week for Taylor Swift after endorsing Kamala Harris. Endorsing Trump will reduce her $92 million a year income by 20% going forward. If Harris wins, the 25% unrealized gains tax on her music catalog, valued around $500 to $600 million, will be insane by the time that doubles. Her income taxes will be substantially higher under Harris. Her endorsement of Harris could cost her several $100 million. So it's like the endorsement timing was wild. And if you look at the actual numbers of it, like why would Taylor Swift endorse Kamala Harris? Do you want to just give your money away? I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. But I think that endorsement was waving the white flag on the debate. And I might disagree with a lot of the listeners. I think Trump won last night. I do. Let's go to Sean in Manchester. Your thoughts on the debate, Sean? Sean. Let's go to Richard in Smyrna. We'll get back to Sean in a second. Richard, you're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Richard?
Well, good afternoon.
How we doing, man? What do you think?
First of all, I want to say it's a pleasure to talk with you. I've been listening to your show a lot since you came on this radio station, and we appreciate it. And it's first time caller to talk to you. So,
hey, man, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, the most important part of a debate is the first 30 minutes. The first 30 minutes is when you're going to have the attention of those who are tuning in to see exactly what Kamala has to say. And so that first 30 minutes to 45 minutes, you have to score your points early in a bout like that.
Yep.
And that first 45 minutes, she got destroyed in that debate. The very first question of how do you feel the economy and the pain, in essence, the softball layup about the economy, she couldn't answer it because she would have to lie. She ignored that as far as people being better off because she knows that they're not. So she went into her filibuster of trying to just dance around the question without answering it. Just Trump pinned her on that, pinned her on the economy as far as when she tried to bring up a tax on the American people through tariffs. And he just simply said, why hadn't you and Biden then erased the tariff on China right now? Y'all continue to get that. He destroyed her on that. And then he went into the border and talked about that. And finally, the one question she should have been able to score some points was abortion when the female went to her and asked her and switched it to abortion real quickly because they knew how bad that first 30 minutes went.
Yep.
And
defund the police.
They went.
I'm sorry about that.
They went there, and Chris, she couldn't even win that point. Trump didn't do anything great in that, but it was a wash. She didn't have to say anything that won her any political points, and she ignored the late-term abortion thing when Trump point-blank asked her, and she ignored that. So to me, like most Americans, I'm going to say this. After that point, me and my wife and my daughter, we flipped over to watch some comedy because we knew this was going nowhere. She wasn't going to answer questions. And so I missed the middle part of the debate where I think Trump got into a little bit. But how many people were tuned in by then, Chris? That's a question you got to ask.
Yeah, I wonder where the drop-off is. And I think you nailed it. The first 30 minutes, Trump was absolutely on top. Absolutely. And then towards the end, he's dealing with 3-on-1. He gets a little frustrated. I get it, man. I do. And I appreciate your call, Richard. Thanks so much for listening. But Trump hit on the big issues, and the big issues are the economy. That's the big issue. People might not pay attention to politics, but they pay attention to the in-store prices, and people know what's going on with the in-store prices. You want to give me some audio? Sorry about that, Jeff. Can you give me some audio? Yo, Jeff. Jeff is on the phone. Can you give me some audio? Trump nailed her on the economy over and over and over again.
People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Yeah. Look at the polls, if you trust the polls. But look at the in-store prices. That's what I would say even more than a poll. Vote with your pocketbook. Everybody understands that the economy was better under Donald J. Trump. And then on the other main issue, the border. He nailed her again and again and again on the border.
We have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that she and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast.
You know, the border, it was on full display. Her weakness, her failures, and he nails it. I mean, we're on the anniversary of September 11th today, and under Biden-Harris, we've had terror watch list suspects breaking into this country, being detained and released, trying to break into Quantico, being detained, then released. This is happening every single day. It's insanity. It's absolutely insanity. And if you had told somebody in 2001 that in less than a quarter century we'd be letting terrorists fly through a wide open southern border, they would have looked at you like you were crazy. But here we are. And if you elect Kamala Harris, it's going to be more of the same. And I love that he brought up Springfield, Ohio. I love it. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's debunked. It's debunked. There's nothing to see here. They're not eating cats. Well, actually, there were some reporters on the ground talking to the citizens of those towns. And, yeah, it's happening. It's happening. I'll play you some of that audio next. Plus, we'll get to more of your calls. It's 1022 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Ann. I got to tell you about my friends at USS, United Structural Systems. We got some rain coming towards the end of the week, a lot of rain. And if you have waterproofing issues in your crawl space or your basement, you got to be biting your nails right now, right? Like you know it's coming. There's going to be a lot of rain. We've been in a drought. There's going to be some flash flooding. And if you have waterproofing issues, you should call my friends at United Structural Systems. Call them today before the problem pops up. They've been doing this for a long time, decades in Middle Tennessee, since 1994, and they're not going anywhere. They're so confident in the work that they do that the warranty is good for life, even if you leave the home. Call USS today. They'll come through and create a custom solution to meet your needs, whatever it might be. If it's waterproofing, if it's foundation repair, if it's that sinkhole that you're tired of looking at on your property, call the guys who guarantee their best. Call USS. They'll take the stress out of your home repair. USS, keeping homes dry and stable. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Online at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Up ahead here on Super Talk 99.7, remembrances today as the nation marks 23 years since the September 11th attacks. Also, there's a sell-off taking place on Wall Street. We'll tell you what's behind the big drop. Those stories at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 10:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Remember when Trump said this last night?
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Yeah, they're eating the pets. They're eating the cats. Oh, there's no credible claims. Oh, the woman in the body cam footage is from a different town. She's an American citizen. But they'll debunk one piece of footage, but they'll ignore all of the other evidence, like the people that are at city council meetings detailing exactly what's happening. And they'll ignore a police report. I actually just retweeted this. It's 4 geese stolen by Haitian men in a Toyota pickup. What were they going to do with those geese? Well, I think we can all figure out what they were going to do with those geese.
Let them free into the wild.
Let's debate, though, which animal it was, right? The fact of the matter is 20,000 Haitians in the small town of Springfield, Ohio has completely changed that town. And that's at the feet of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. 100%. Oh, it's not true. It's not true. How could he say that? Well, actually, there's a bunch of reporters on the ground talking to the people inside Springfield, Ohio, saying, no, it absolutely is true. It absolutely is. One of the guys that are down there on the ground is a friend of mine, 6'7" Kevin, and 6'7" went and he's working with the Frontlines team, and he said he's interviewing actual residents in the town. Listen to this.
You don't want to get eaten up, do you?
You're going to be next, boy.
I ain't eating nothing off of a barbecue pit around here.
Ducks are disappearing.
So the migrants are eating geese, you think? Have you heard of pets being abducted?
Yep. Cats are a delicacy in Haiti.
It's not that they're poor and eating them because they don't have other food. It is a delicacy like someone would eat escargot.
And then I heard that stuff on Facebook, and I thought, I better watch my dogs.
Well, that wasn't verified.
Springfield, Ohio right now is a tinderbox. They're killing cats. They're eating geese. They're crashing cars. One of these is going to light, and it's going to be bad. Part of that is because in the state of Ohio, you cannot use lethal force to protect property, and pets are considered property.
Are you carrying a firearm now to keep yourself safe? How has that changed?
Yes, I did. I got a couple guns, and I'm not afraid to use them. I was raised at the hills.
Our town is a bomb, especially with the influx of immigrants or whatever you want to say, people. It's a time bomb ready to go off.
Now, David Muir, he fact-checked Donald Trump, and he said, but the city council, the city manager told us nothing is happening. And Trump, with a brilliant retort, said, yeah, that sounds like something a good city manager would say. You wouldn't say, come to Springfield, Ohio, don't bring your cats. Come to Springfield, Ohio, now with less geese. You wouldn't, that wouldn't be a selling point. But Trump was absolutely right there, and it was good on him to bring it up. Let them argue about which pet they're eating, but the fact remains that you've imported 20,000 migrants into a town, and they're eating the wildlife. Yuck. It's 10:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
10:31 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're headed up to near 90 today, and then we've got some rain on the way. The forecast is coming up. Remembrances are taking place across the country today, marking more than 2 decades since the September 11th attacks.
It's been 23 years. Bells tolling for the nearly 3,000 people killed when hijacked planes slammed into New York's World Trade Center, in a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and at the Pentagon in Washington. The granddaughter of Pentagon victim 57-year-old Carl W. Tebby reading his name aloud.
I hear many stories about him every day.
Some make me laugh and some make me cry, but every story inspires me.
She and other young relatives of victims born after the September 11th attacks never meeting their loved ones. Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
Locally, a couple of 9/11 memorial hockey games featuring local first responders are taking place this evening in Nashville. There'll be 2 games at 4 and 6 p.m. with the proceeds from the games supporting Nashville paramedic James Gupton's recovery after an off-duty accident. A day after that fiery debate between former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, the first absentee ballots are headed out to voters.
The first general election absentee ballots of the cycle are being mailed Wednesday in Alabama. Originally, the first ballots were planned to be sent out on September 6th in North Carolina. But the process was delayed after a judge ruled that ballots needed to be reprinted. Absentee voters in Pennsylvania and Kentucky will be able to begin casting their ballots in less than a week's time. Brittany Shepard, ABC News, Washington.
Today's release of the Consumer Price Index reflected higher prices, but at a slower pace of rising. That's some good news. But investors may have been hoping that a negative report would prompt a more aggressive interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve when it meets next week. The Dow Jones Industrials are shedding 530 points right now. S&P is down 59 and the NASDAQ minus 105. That's the latest news. Weather's coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 10:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand here for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They got another BOGO offer all September long for the Beehive Club membership. This time, you buy one for $99, you get one for free for the grandparents in your life. How awesome is that? You don't want grandma and grandpa to be dealing with the AC or the heat going out. So get them a buy one, get one Beehive Club membership. Again, this is only $90, but you get so much value. 3 annual tune-ups, one for your cooling, one for your heating, one for your plumbing, a 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit when you need to replace your system, and no overtime or holiday fees. Again, this is for as little as $99. This is what they do at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They're your Root Pro partner for satisfaction guaranteed. I call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833. Online at busybehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
police. She's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
10:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So when he said she's big on defund the police, Kamala Harris is shaking her head and saying, no, that's not true. That's not true. Where was ABC with the fact check about the tweet from the Minnesota Freedom Fund? Where were they there?
It's still up.
Honestly. No. I was never bailing out rioters. I never wanted to defund the police. I never wanted to reimagine Border Patrol. Yeah. All right.
Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him.
I'm already voting for the guy. You don't have to sell me.
It's up to the American people.
Vice President Harris.
Him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president.
Weaponized, please.
This
is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy
President
with a fake
Trump.
Russia investigation
We do have a lot
that
to get.
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get.
We have a lot to get to, President Trump. We can't let you finish going on about the Russia hoax.
And also stopping you from talking about how you almost died.
Yeah. No, they didn't bring up the assassination attempt at all. Not shocking. Hey, so I posted a police report about Haitians stealing geese in Clark County, probably for food. And this guy responded to me. He said, allegedly stealing geese isn't the same as eating dogs and cats. LOL, this isn't winning him the election. I said, yeah, dude. Haitian migrants flown to a town in Ohio eating geese is totally cool. This is the best part about the cats, dogs, geese. We're now making these leftists and these never-Trumpers argue over which animals the Haitians are eating, as opposed to the 20,000 that are being shipped into this town that have completely uprooted everything in small town Springfield, Ohio. I love that Trump brought it up. I love that this is going to be a larger conversation because it's a conversation that needs to be had. Steve in the borough, you're up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. What's up, Steve?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Brian. Appreciate you, man. Love seeing you last night, and those cats were hilarious last night at the rally.
Yeah, George brought the cat heads. He brought the cat heads for us. The cats for Trump. Thank you for doing that.
That guy's awesome. So, listen, man, I spent like 2 hours last night searching for anything about the animals. I know you guys have played the clips in the past, but like they literally scrubbed the internet of these clips and these videos. And the one I did find that I thought was kind of ingenious, the guy was using their own arguments against them. He was talking about when he came to Springfield back in the 80s or 90s or something with 800 military people being brought there for some expansion of the base, that they forced them to do an environmental study and how much is it going to impact, down to how many extra toilet flushes are there going to be per day with these extra 800 people being brought to the town. And he was asking the question, did we do an environmental study before they brought in the 20,000 people? So kind of using that against them. I love it when you can do that. But I was asking the screener earlier if you could maybe post some of these clips. I know you don't really do the Facebook, but man, a lot of us don't do Twitter or Instagram or.
Well, I mean, dude, Facebook is going to hide that stuff. You're not going to find it on Facebook. Like Facebook is captured. Twitter is the space to go if you want free speech, and you can find a lot of these clips on my Twitter account at Chris Hand on Air. I recommend you getting a Twitter account, man. If you like free speech, if you like news and information, it's happening on Twitter. But the clips are everywhere, and I appreciate the call, Steve, and I appreciate you bringing those signs. That was hilarious what you did last night at the party. If you haven't seen that picture, it's on my Instagram page at Chris Hand on Air. But he's saying, people aren't able to even find these clips, but they're out there. They're out there. This one guy was going viral big time on Twitter.
I don't know how y'all can be comfortable with this. I don't know who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me tonight, FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there.
You know, we actually played a clip on the show, I think this was yesterday, from a reporter who was down at that welfare office, and the security guard at that welfare office said that the Haitians to the American citizens are 9-1. 9-1.
And I don't even want to, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here, because wherever they're at,
yep, he's right.
That's what they're used to, bro.
Yep.
They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them
No, but there's no credible reports. The city manager said that there's nothing like that going on. But when you listen to the townspeople, they have a different story. And there are reporters on the ground covering this right now in Springfield, Ohio. This is a big story. It's going to continue to be a big story. The negative impact of 20,000 migrants that are flown in by Biden and Harris in a small town that was previously only 60,000 people is insane. Insane. Taylor Hansen is down in Springfield, Ohio. He's an investigative journalist, formerly of the defunct Tenet Media. He wasn't involved in the decision-making process there. He's just a reporter. He said he spent one day in Springfield, Ohio, and he's mind blown on what's taking place there. He said the receipts and stories from locals are insane. They're fed up and demanding change. He's going to be releasing a bunch of interviews today. This is a conversation that needs to be had, and Donald Trump brought it to the main stage. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was one of those moments of the night that needed to be had. And I love that ABC fact-checked them. I love it. Because people that are paying attention understand that ABC is fake news. They're fake news. Oh, the city manager actually said that that's not happening. Moving on. Yeah, moving on as quickly and as they can, right? As quick as possible. Chuck in Nashville, what did you think of the debate last night?
Hello. Thank you for taking my call. Listening to John, the college debater that was on a little earlier, I got to say he's spot on a couple of points, and let me tell you what I mean by that. We know that there is a lot at stake in this election, far too much, and I just feel like sometimes Trump doesn't put in the due diligence to prepare. We know it's 3-on-1. It's more than 3-on-1. He's against a humongous, malevolent machine, and we know this. So I just feel like he's got to take some constructive criticism, because what he's trying to sway in this debate is not you or me, but the undecided voter. And we got to ask ourselves, did he accomplish that? I think with a little more preparation, some good coaching, if he's willing to take it, it would go a long way.
I mean, I would flip it. I would flip it the other way. Did Kamala Harris accomplish it? See, when you're looking at Harris and you're looking at Trump, they both have a record. One has a record of success. One has a record of failure. Did Kamala Harris win over any independents? There was no.
Well, here's the thing you got to keep in mind.
Chuck, she had no energy. There was no momentum. She failed to make Trump look like a villain. She made herself invisible. The majority of the night, people were more focused on the debate between David Muir and Donald Trump as opposed to Trump and Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I don't argue that, but think about this for a second.
Did she win over any independents, though? Do you think she won over any independents?
Yes, and here's why. And I'm speaking from I'm a staunch conservative, man. I'm to the right of Almighty God himself. But you got to understand, if somebody they're independent or they're undecided, they've got some left-leaning tendencies. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's hitting on the emotional side of things. All I'm saying is he could do with some solid debate coaching going into this big machine. He knows it's going to be 3-on-1. He's got to be buttoned up. He can't wing it. And
I just thought it was the same Trump that we knew the Trump we were going to get, and I thought he was reserved. He At one point, Kamala Harris.
exactly
At one point, Kamala Harris accused him of name calling. He didn't call anybody any names.
No, he didn't. But here's the thing: I will agree with you.
But he didn't seem agitated. He didn't seem angry. And if you want to pull over independence, you do it by doing Big Tent politics, bringing Tulsi Gabbard into the campaign, bringing RFK Jr. into the campaign. That is going to win over more independents than anything Kamala Harris did last night. And Kamala Harris is out there touting endorsements from Forever Wars himself, Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney. I think that's going to turn off more independents than anything Trump said.
Here's the point there, and you made my point for me. We got the same Trump. We got the same old Trump. And if the independents or the undecideds had not been convinced before with the same old Trump, they're not going to be convinced now. He needs to get some good, solid debate coaching, be prepared to hammer. Instead of being on defense so much, deflect and hammer on offense. Hammer on offense.
But every question that was sent his way was designed to put him on defense.
Absolutely. And he knew that going in. You know that going in. So you deflect and you hammer. Kamala deflected. That's my point. I'm going to hang up and let you guys talk some more.
I appreciate you, Chuck. I don't think Kamala Harris won. I don't. And I don't think that she won over any independents. I really don't. I think Trump was on point on the major issues, the economy and the border. And the border is a massive story. The fact that he brought up Springfield, Ohio is massive. And the locals in Springfield, Ohio are irate with what they're having to deal with.
Would you like to know what the Haitians are calling the food assistance cards? Or
Tell me.
Even the cash assistance cards. They're calling them the magic money cards because they never run out. These people have jobs, like factory jobs, making $20, $30 an hour and still receiving food and cash assistance from the government. I can't even make over a certain amount a month, or they take my assistance. I don't even have assistance right now because I keep getting denied. I'm homeless. I'm jobless. I'm sleeping on friends' couches because I can't get government assistance because I come from the wrong country, apparently.
Yeah, I come from the wrong country. Those are residents on the ground in Springfield, Ohio. They're outraged. They're outraged at what the government's doing. Everybody should be outraged at what our government is currently doing. I think independents are outraged at it. I think moderates are outraged when they see the wide open southern border. On this anniversary of 9/11, we have terrorists coming across our southern border. They said we would never forget. It didn't even take 25 years, did it? Didn't even take 25 years. The world we were raised in, the country we were raised in is not the same. It's not. We were raised for a country that no longer exists. It's wild. I think Donald Trump did what he needed to do last night. I'm going to get more reaction from you on the way. It's 10:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I got to tell you about a new sponsor on the show, Kingdom Fence Company. These guys are awesome. You build a fence because you want to protect what you love, right? And whether it's your kids or your dogs, call the guys that you can trust. Kingdom Fence Company, chain link fences, privacy fences, vinyl fences, aluminum, dog fence, pool fence. They do it all. Residential, commercial, farm, agriculture. Let their fence tell the story of your land. 615-390-5891. 615-390-5891. Great sponsor of the show. Support these guys. Kingdom Fence Company, LLC.com.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. find them online, californiaclosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, californiaclosets.com.
Had a crash in Jolton, 24 eastbound, right before New Hope Road, exit 31. It's stop-and-go traffic starting at the McMahon Hollow Road overpass. Tracking Hurricane Francine coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Real quick, I found this clip from Sky News out of Australia. This duo talking about the debate, and I think it's good. I think it's good to get an international perspective, shall we? Let's get a little cultured by the Aussies.
The moderators sucked. Oh, okay. They really sucked. I'm sorry, I took away your big emotional moment, but they really, really sucked.
They did. And it wasn't just the fact that they sucked. They sucked boldly and proudly, and it was in your face. Just a little subtlety with your bias, please.
Yeah.
Just pull it back a little bit. It was too much. They were participants, not moderators. My favourite Trump moment, I know it's silly, but I'm talking. I'm talking.
You like that he... Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar?
My favourite Trump moment was when he basically inferred that she's stolen so many of ideas he's going to send her a MAGA hat.
Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
Because she has obviously worked hard. Everything was so rehearsed. Every word you heard, she would have uttered possibly 100 times. So we didn't see the real Kamala, but we saw a better version. She doesn't know any topic. She just sort of knows the surface level, and that's why she waffles incoherently. But it looked like she had been drilled and drilled hard.
Yeah, well, drill, baby, drill.
Yes.
11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We are tracking Hurricane Francine, getting ready to hit Louisiana. Expected to impact Middle Tennessee tomorrow. There will be a risk for heavy rain, flooding, and tornadoes here in the Volunteer State. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Francine headed for an expected landfall this evening, likely as a Cat 1 or Cat 2 storm in Louisiana. Here's Matt Rivers.
During hurricanes, the majority of injuries and deaths tend to come from the water and not from the wind. However, all that said, this is Louisiana. People know how to deal with storms here. They're preparing for this in a very proactive way. But if there is one overriding concern that we're hearing from residents here, it's about the power. If and when the power goes out, it tends to stay out for a while.
Today, remembrances taking place all across the country, marking 23 years since the September 11th attacks, and in New York this morning.
And my uncle, Richard Michael Cadriano. This is my second year of having the honor of reading the names of those we lost on this day. Although I never got a chance to meet my uncle, I've learned so much about the type of person he was. He loved sports, especially the Dallas Cowboys. He was a great friend, brother, son, and nephew. He had a dry sense of humor and a smile that could light up a room.
Here in Tennessee, the Nashville Fire Department honored the sacrifices made by first responders and civilians on 9/11. Meantime, in Franklin.
We honor the innocent lives lost and the heroism shown that day in New York City, Arlington, Virginia, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Franklin Fire Chief Glenn Johnson and other city officials at a bell-ringing ceremony to remember those who died on 9/11. We have new data for the Fed to use when it comes to deciding interest rates. Dave Packer.
In the 12 months leading up to August, the Consumer Price Index showing prices rose 2.5%, the smallest annual increase since 2021. Taking out food and energy, prices were up 3.2% during that period. Some categories like furniture and cars and trucks actually saw prices fall. Airline fares, car insurance, and rent were higher, but the low overall numbers cementing the likelihood that the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates when it meets next week.
Open your TikTok app in a couple of years and you might see a pop-up warning. A pop-up warning you about the potential risks social media use poses to your health. Jim Ryan says more than 36 state attorneys general are hoping so.
In the same way that research showed a link between smoking and lung cancer in the 1960s, U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says that in 2024,
we do have growing evidence that tells us that social media use is associated with harms.
Especially, he says, to young people. 42 attorneys general have signed on to a letter urging Congress to slap a tobacco-style warning label on social media.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.1107 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how you doing? I'm pretty good. Thanks for asking. It's Chris Hand here with you. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. As long as you don't look like a Russian bot. You know how they get with us conservatives and the Russian bots. So shoot me a DM if you're real, or like a tweet or something. I'll follow you back. All right, so we're going over the debate. The post-debate was what you would expect. Donald Trump went out and answered questions to the press. Isn't that a crazy concept? Donald Trump literally walked out of the debate and went down to the spin room and started answering questions. Kamala Harris went to the back room, and I can only assume, this is just my own opinion, she probably went to the back room and started tying one on. But Donald Trump went out to the spin room, and he was very confident in how he performed to a room full of reporters.
We thought it was our best debate ever. It was my best debate ever, I think. And it was very interesting. It showed how weak they are, how pathetic they are, and what they're doing to destroy our country and the border with foreign trade, with everything. And I think it was the best debate I've ever personally that I've had.
He thinks it was the best debate he ever had. I don't know if it was the best debate he's ever had. I think that there were some missed opportunities there. There were some layups and some dunks that he should have gotten. He didn't. But all in all, I think he won the debate. I think when you focus on the main issues that the American people are focused on, the border and the economy, Trump was there. Trump was there. And now the Harris campaign wants a second debate. They called for that almost immediately. I don't know if we need a second debate. I don't see any benefit to the Republican side. I think, it's just, talking with some people in the hallway. It's like, it just feels like status quo right now. You know what I mean? It feels like where we were before the debate, which was in a good place. But Trump is in the spin room, and he said they immediately called for a second debate, and he tells them why.
Why will you commit to a second debate with Kamala Harris?
She wants a second debate because she lost tonight very badly. So they immediately called for a second debate because they lost.
That was my take too. And I also think, listen, this is just me. Let me put my tinfoil hat on. Those are my favorite kind of hats. I think the Taylor Swift endorsement was timed. I think that somebody in the back room said, yeah, it didn't go the way we wanted it to. The conversation online is not going the way we want it to. Can you drop that endorsement for us? And I think she obliged them. That's what I think she did. I think she obliged them. I think that endorsement was timed, coordinated, and I think it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to them feeling like they didn't do what they needed to do on the debate stage. And I also think they look at the timing of the RFK endorsement, which came the day after Kamala's speech at the DNC, and how that really stole some momentum. And I think that they're in the back room, because, Kamala doesn't make these decisions. The gatekeepers, the shadowy figures are talking amongst themselves. And they said, okay, it's not going the way we want online. Let's drop the endorsement. I really, truly think that that's what happened. Because the conversation online was dominated by the right. Dominated. Not the left. It was dominated by the right. And one of the big pieces online was the jewelry that Kamala Harris was wearing. Hey, did you pay attention to the jewelry? I know. Our audience is very, very attuned to the accessories. Quite a few people are pointing out that Kamala Harris's earrings look a lot like these. They're called Nova H1s, Nova H1 earrings, which happen to be Bluetooth speakers. Huh. Would you put it past Kamala Harris to wear an earbud that looks like an earring so that way she could have information fed to her? I wouldn't put it past her. I'm not saying she did. I'm saying that the earrings she chose to wear look eerily similar to these Nova H1 earrings. I do know that pearls are not see-through. I confirmed that with a woman that knows pearls earlier this morning. Pearls are not see-through. The earrings that Kamala was wearing appeared to be pearls, but they looked to be a bit see-through. I don't know. This is what the conversation is online. The conversation online isn't, oh, Donald Trump lost. It's Trump did what he needed to do. What was up with those earrings? Who cares about Taylor Swift's endorsement? And Trump won. That's the conversation I'm seeing online. But I think that it's important to talk to real people. And I want to know what you think about the debate, what your reaction was. Let's go to Jimmy. You're up next. Jimmy, thank you for holding as long as you did, man. What's your take on the debate?
I appreciate it, man. Hey, there was a couple things. One, did you notice the interview that they were doing with Gavin Newsom and Sean Hannity come out there? It's like they were old buddies. And I don't know if that's a big deal, but like drinking buddies. And then two,
I didn't see that interview, but my head goes right to what is it? George Carlin. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. But all right, yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. Number two was I wish Trump would ask her actually what the Inflation Reduction Act was and what it's done for the past 3.5 years. Because I can tell a difference. I'm living paycheck to paycheck right now.
Yep. It didn't reduce inflation at all, and she was the tie-breaking vote in that. I think, listen, there were areas where Trump could have had layups, could have had dunks, and he didn't do it. Missed opportunities. But even with all those missed opportunities, what do you think, performance versus performance, who was your winner out of that debate, Jimmy?
Well, I'm going for Trump. I voted for Trump in 2016, 2020. I'm going to vote for him again. I like Trump, what he did for the American people, especially for veterans. I'm a veteran.
Oh, thanks for your service.
Oh, you're welcome. And what she's done, I hear there is a policy that they had out that on the very, very bottom line was something about helping the military. So if she thinks of the military that much, very small like that, then I hope she don't get any votes. And one more thing, I liked when Trump told her she's a Marxist, and her dad was he a professor and taught Marxism.
Yeah,
that hit right on the dot. But yeah, Trump, I don't agree with everything he does. I wish sometimes he would say, me and my team or my administration did this, and this. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But, as far as Trump goes, he'll get my vote again, and I just hope people that watch the debate can realize that she's bad.
Yeah.
She's real, real bad. She's evil. If you just looked into her eyes last night, really, really good. They're dark. They're evil. I don't know what else you could say, but
she's soulless. I'm with you, Jimmy.
That's it.
Yep. I hear you, man. I appreciate the call. Appreciate you holding as long as you did, Jimmy. Thank you so much. Here's the line that Jimmy was talking about where he calls out her dad for being a Marxist.
I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals.
When he said that about her father being a Marxist, we're watching the debate live at Scoreboard in Cedar Creek Marina, and the crowd went wild. Everybody had been waiting for that to drop. They didn't know if he was going to say it, and no live audience. It was like watching two different debates. I watched it twice. Full disclosure, because this is what I do. Occupational hazards. But I watched it with the live crowd. Crowd goes crazy. Watching it at home again, I mean, the line still delivered. Her father's a Marxist. It's awesome. It was a good line. Mike in Spring Hill, you've been holding for a minute, man. I appreciate you. What are your thoughts on the debate?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. First of all, I am a Trump supporter, and I will vote for him. But
hold on. That's the precursor to Mike saying he didn't like the debate.
You got it, brother. It's not that I didn't like the debate. I don't think Trump took it seriously, and I don't think he prepared, because Kamala, she gave him so many opportunities, especially when she said that he didn't respect our servicemen or women. And I'm going, yeah, he's going to nail her. Because he could have brought up that she's never spoken to the families of those killed in Afghanistan.
Yep.
And she said it several times, and I'm going, yeah, nail her. And he didn't. And that was disappointing. And I think if he was prepared, man, that would have been number one or number two to nail her on.
Yep. Listen, I think it's a fair critique, and I'm fully aware that there were some layups that were missed. There were some dunks that were missed. But performance versus performance, who do you think won that debate?
Oh, definitely Trump. But he said it was his best. I don't think it was his best. And,
yeah, I'm with you there.
He could have nailed her.
I'm with you there. I appreciate the call, Mike. I appreciate you holding as long as you did. I seriously do. Thank you.
Thanks.
I think that this debate, if I'm walking away from it, one word that I would say is pretty forgettable. It's forgettable. It was boring. It wasn't as high octane as Biden versus Trump was. We didn't come away with the same vibes. I think Trump still absolutely nailed her. And one of the most powerful messages that he had during the debate, which a lot of independent voters, it resonates with them, is how Kamala promises all these things. She whispers all these sweet nothings, but She's the incumbent. She's had 3.5 years to do it.
They're saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it?
Yep.
She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it, and you won't do it because you believe in things that the American people don't believe in.
Nailed it. Nailed it. You've had 3.5 years to do this. You could go to the Capitol right now and do what you're promising to do. But you won't because you're not going to, because they're empty promises. He's on the money on message right here.
Okay, so you had a fairly large portion with hand dial. So everybody's like doing this real time. You're getting it. What was going on there?
So I think this was an exercise of framing, and I think this is one of the best things that Donald Trump did last night, was he framed something that people are going to remember, which is, if she's saying that she's going to do all these things, why hasn't she done it in the last 3.5 years? And it's a question that a lot of voters had, and I think it's also the question a lot of Democrats have. So you didn't see Democrats go as low when he was talking about that, because they want to know, what is going to be different now? What are you going to do different? And it was a very, very smart exercise in framing. He should have done it earlier. This is his closing. It could have done it often and all throughout, because I do think it was one of the most powerful things he did.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you should have said it more. If that's your critique, you should have said it more. That's fine. That's fine. They're going to critique him no matter what, right? I think he did good last night. It was 3-on-1. 3-on-1. And in all of the recaps, one of the ones that was going viral the most was Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy was out there in the spin room almost immediately calling out the moderators in that debate, because the moderators in that debate were awful.
Fortunately, we had moderators who were clearly biased, who were constantly fact-checking Donald Trump. None of these kind of whoppers that the vice president was saying, and none of her failure to really explain that, answer that first question, that very, very critical first question. They simply sat there on the sidelines and allowed that to pass.
Yeah, that's what we all saw. That's what we all saw. 3v1. And I still think Donald Trump won. Sean, Rick, Corey, Steve, Tom, Neil, we're going to try to get to as many calls as we can, man. I know you guys want to weigh in with your opinion on what happened in the debate. This is the best part about this station, this show, this audience, is that we can have these conversations. Whether we agree, we disagree, or somewhere in between, we'll do that next. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Got a crash in Jolton. It is 24 eastbound right before New Hope Road. It's stop-and-go traffic starting at the McMahon Hollow Road overpass. Francine is getting closer, and inflation keeps slowing down. What it might mean for interest rates coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Hey, how you doing? Appreciate you tuning into the show. Whether you tune in for a little, you tune in for a lot, thank you for being here. I got 4 kids to feed, and you are helping that. Thank you so much. I got a great text here. Great text. 8072. Fantastic text. Chris, do you feel Trump's chances of winning are same, higher, or lower now? Higher. I think they're higher. I think the chances are actually higher. What ammo do the Democrats have left? What do they have left to do? One of the things that was hanging out there was the Taylor Swift endorsement. The timing was supposed to dominate the online conversation, and that's why they released it immediately after the debate. I'm convinced. And I think it was met with a collective meh. Honestly, we've spent so much time debating and discussing this Taylor Swift endorsement. It was like, oh, yeah, all right, yep, she did what we thought she was going to do? Oh, okay. Does that have anything to do with the border? No. Does that have anything to do with the economy? No. Does that have anything to do with foreign policy? No. All right, still voting Trump. Cool. It's like, I think the chances are much higher. I don't think that the Democrats have anything left for ammunition now. Nothing. They don't have an October surprise. I think the chances are higher. I wonder what you guys think on the super text line. Do you think his chances after that debate, after the Taylor Swift endorsement, are the same, higher, or lower? I think it's higher. I want to get your instant reaction on the debate. Let's go to Rick in Nashville. Appreciate you holding, Rick. What's going on?
Yeah, Chris. I have several things to say in observation of this debate. And just right off the bat, what you were talking about with Taylor Swift. I like Taylor Swift. I mean, I like her when she was more country, but I admire her success and so forth. But that's not going to make a difference in my vote. Just because a celebrity endorses somebody doesn't mean I'm not going to like the celebrity anymore. I still am going to vote for former President Trump.
Yep.
Because, it's just like Bruce Springsteen in the previous election. He was for a Democrat candidate, and I love Bruce Springsteen. So that's putting that aside. I wanted to throw out 5 things here, basically very quickly. Economy, the borders, the wars, race issues, January 6th, and the COVID pandemic. Those are the main topics that they go over and ask about. And I think that the people on the left, the Democrats, and I've got family members as well, that they do not want to address anything or hear about anything that you want to make a point about. They just want to dismiss it. So I think when you have a debate like this, and I believe Donald Trump did win the debate because I looked at it twice.
Yep.
And he has passion, he has commitment. Kamala Harris was just kind of smirking around a little bit on the side, acting like somewhat like Hillary Clinton, like she, she just is so elite and everything. And I don't think that plays well with the American people. But I will say this: when Donald Trump. She threw a lot of stuff against the wall. She had a lot of things that were rehearsed talking points. And so he's sitting there listening to all these things, and he has to respond. So what I would have liked to seen Donald Trump do with that, who would have thought and you got to predict she's going to do this, Charlottesville.
Yep.
Okay, good people on both sides. There are still people out there that still say, well, he said there were good people on both sides. Well, what Donald Trump needs to do is specifically say that what I was talking about, but with brevity, was that there were people that were for the statues, that wanted to preserve the history of the town, and they were genuinely interested in that. And then there were people that wanted to take the statues down. with this, what I mentioned when I said about good people on both sides, I wasn't talking about the people with the tiki torches and all that.
Exactly.
That's what he needs to specific because the left is not going to listen to that.
But all they have to do, Rick, is listen to the long version of the clip, and I appreciate the call. That's all they have to do is a little bit of their own research. I know that's a big ask. Got a great text here from 5250. Taylor Swift also endorsed Phil Bredesen, and Marsha Blackburn beat him like a drum. It's 11:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looks like they cleared that crash in Jolton. Rain from Hurricane Francine is expected to fall on Nashville by mid-morning tomorrow, but it could bring tornadoes. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Get a load of what Francine's doing right now as a Cat 1 hurricane ahead of making landfall in Louisiana. Jim Ryan says evacuation orders been posted for low-lying areas.
It's an order that's being taken seriously in flood-prone Leeville, Louisiana.
I'm going to be heading out before the storm comes in.
Bait shop owner Terry Serigny hopes the damage from Francine's winds and storm surge is minimal, but he's also being realistic.
You get so used to being in an area and you know what to expect, and what you got to do is just pick up the pieces and start back.
Serigny speaks from experience. His business sustained massive damage from Hurricane Ida 3 years ago.
Promising data on the economy if you're waiting for an interest rate cut. Elizabeth Schulze reports.
2.5% annual rate is the lowest level that we've seen since February of 2021. So we're getting close to that 2% inflation target that the Federal Reserve and a lot of policymakers see as a healthy rate of inflation in the economy, a lot better than that 9% peak that we were talking about, just over 2 years ago.
New numbers cementing the likelihood the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates when it meets next week. Today, remembrance being held in places all across the country, marking 23 years since the September 11th attacks in New York City. Bells at 10:28 a.m., the moment the North Tower fell. And here in Middle Tennessee, in about half an hour, Wilson County leaders, including Mayor Randall Hutto and Watertown Police Chief Mike Henderlight, will be joined by the Watertown High School Band and Choir in a ceremony to honor the victims of the 9/11 attacks at the Watertown Ag Pavilion. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
11:36 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. How you doing? After last night, I feel pretty good. I do. I feel pretty good. Thank you to everybody that came out to Scoreboard at Cedar Creek Marina. That was a blast. If you haven't been able to make it to one of our parties, you're missing out. You're absolutely missing out. Watching these debates with a live crowd is just fantastic. It's one of the funnest things that we get to do. We have the best listeners. You know that because you're one of them. And I just want to thank you for coming out or listening to the coverage, listening to the debate on WTN. We appreciate you guys, and we're absolutely nothing without you. That being said, your opinion on this debate matters to me a lot. So I want to get through these calls as quickly as I can. Let's start with Corey in the borough. Your thoughts on the debate last night, man?
First of all, I believe Trump definitely won, performance to performance. I agree with you 100% about Taylor Swift. That was my first thought after it came out. I was like, oh, that was quick. Yeah. And also, I wish the one thing that Trump would have done, because I think he did great, the people who think he did less than he should have been and her more than she should have been is more accurate. Because Trump is Trump. I'm tired of people saying, hey, I wish you would have done this because he's used to doing this. He's changed a lot. If you compare his style from 16 to now, it's 100% different.
Yep.
But when they brought up Charlottesville and he clarified it, he brought it up again later on in the debate. And if I were, it would have been money if he would have just looked at David and said, what did I say again, David? I can't remember. I told you before, now it's drawn a blank all of a sudden. I said, what again?
Yeah.
So just so the guys or the mediators or whatever is on the same page trying to combat the fact checking, because I also am tired of hearing 3 against 1. That's all you hear about from Republicans and conservatives, because like he walked into the lines and of course it was going to be like that. Don't make that a talking point.
Yep.
Is my take on that. So
fair enough. I get it if you don't like that as a talking point. I mean, but you have to agree. Those debaters were completely, the moderators were completely biased towards Kamala Harris.
Absolutely. It means more coming from Kennedy, though, than any Republican. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It could be Gates. It could be Cruz. It could be DeSantis. It does not matter. Kennedy, the Tulsi Gabbards, those guys saying it means more, but I wish the Republicans would just stop saying the obvious.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, appreciate the call, Corey, and thanks for holding, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let's go to Steven in Paris. You're up next on Super Talk. What's up, Steve? Thanks for holding.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Chris. Hey, Comrade Snake Eyes, she definitely threw that race card out there when they asked the question about him criticizing her race. I think she got underneath his skin a little bit with the response on that, and it kind of shook him a little bit and knocked him off course. He could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity. He should have said, "I'm talking about how she's a chameleon, depending on the crowd." That's the way you should have handled that. There was, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit up here and say that there weren't missed opportunities for Trump, but I do think that he performed better than Kamala Harris.
Yeah, she knocked him off a little bit. He should have just basically came back and pointed to the fact of what he's done for all the I don't know, the people of color, what do you call them, the minorities in this country. When he was president, he did more for them than anybody has ever done. All he has to do is bounce back on that every time she tries to throw that out there. But I hope the next one is hosted by Fox, because then we'll see a completely different deal going there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got every right to be upset because of everything that he's been through, and he called them out on that. They're the ones that have attacked him on all this stuff, that have went after him politically, and he called them out on that. He's got every right to be heated, man.
100%. Appreciate the call, Steve. Let's go to Sean in Lebanon. Sean, what's up, man? Thanks for holding.
Chris Hand, man to man.
What's
a man without word salad but word steak. How you doing today?
I'm good. What are your thoughts after that debate, Sean?
Man, I enjoyed being there with you guys last night, man. You told me last night that you was a man of formula of hip-hop. I think you might enjoy this, and then I got a couple of statements, and I'll be done.
All right.
If I walk, you try to trip me. If I was a jacket, you try to zip me. A bad paper, you try to rip me. I may be country, but I'm not a Swiftie. Yeah, they were right on point with that last night. They brought it right after that, because you know what? Trump did win that, and I want you to see that what we saw last night was there was a stage play, and there were 3 actors.
Yep.
But there was one that did not show up to their rehearsal, who did not want to be in their play, and is tired of them playing. And what you saw from his body language, his passion, his tone was one that was passionate and serious about the condition of this country and what he see that may happen if he doesn't get back in office. He understands his audience. There are people that, yes, he needs to convince that are undecided right now. But he also has foreign leaders who are wanting to know, are we trying to soften Trump up and try to make him exactly what the Democrats would like him to be, or we want him to be this nice guy and don't have a backbone? No, I'm glad of what I saw last night. I'm a black guy. And all I learned from Calamity last night was how to hate Trump. I learned more about Trump and what Trump and what kind of person they think he is, and I don't know anything about her. I don't know where she stands. I don't know what she's up to, and so she gave us nothing to grasp for. But I'm so glad of the content and the substance that Trump brought last night. I understand. I'm convinced. All my life, until a few years ago, I was Democrat, but you know what? All I realize is that Trump can lead this country. He's led this country, and we need that back.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Sean, because you said, all your life you were a Democrat up until a few years ago. What woke you up? Because everybody always calls in and they're like, what can we do to wake up my Democrat neighbor, family member, friend? What was it that woke you up to the lies of the Democrat Party?
As I matured and started having kids, as I started to get into, life really started happening and starting to wanting to buy a home and wanting to get ahead, I saw that our party actually was just wanted me to be totally dependent on them. Democrats wanted us to be dependent on them. There was no real, improve your life and get better. They talked about it, but they wanted to give it to you the way they wanted. But if you wanted to really move forward, if you wanted protection for your home, they didn't offer that. If you want protection for your community and your country, they didn't offer that. But I want you to know I saw that in Trump. I saw that in his platform. I'm not saying he was the man of best character, but I want you to know that platform was very attractive for what I was looking for as I was maturing in life, and I had a family.
Hey, I appreciate you sharing that, Sean. And you got a beautiful family, man. I was glad to meet all you guys last night at Scoreboard, man. Great family, great kids.
God bless you, man.
Hey, man, God bless you.
To be there, guys.
Hey,
appreciate you.
Appreciate you coming out, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Tom in Kentucky. Your thoughts on the debate, sir?
Well, I don't know really who won. It looked kind of like a tie, but I think Trump did the best he could do, fighting 3 people. Now, I heard, and if it had been me, I thought I swore I saw her writing notes, but, that's me. But the other thing is the male guy who was giving the questions. I don't know their names, but I think when Trump talked about the cat and he turned around and said, well, we called the sheriff, and he said he hadn't received any report.
Yeah, he said they called the city manager. We called the city manager.
Yeah. Okay, I would have turned around and said, sir, if you want to join this debate, get you a platform, get up here and talk with us. He says, otherwise, get up out of your chair and leave if you can't do the job right.
Seriously. Also, I thought his retort was great. Like, well, what is the city manager going to say? Like, it's probably
right. I agree, but it's the idea.
Manager.
I mean, if the guy who's doing the questions wants to question everything, then why did we need the vice president up there?
Yep. Absolutely, and I appreciate the call. The thing that's wild about them, saying, "Oh, they're not eating pets." We've talked to the city manager of Springfield, Ohio. They're not doing that. I actually have friends that are reporters on the ground in Springfield, Ohio, right now, talking to the locals, talking to the people that live there, and the locals, the people that live there. There's going to be so much coming out at the end of this week and early next week. Interviews with the locals, and they tell a completely different story than what the mainstream media tells you. Shocker, right? I also found a police report about 4 Haitians in Clark County, near Springfield, Ohio. In Springfield, Ohio, that's Clark County. 4 Haitians got arrested because they had geese. They had stolen 4 geese. Why would you steal a goose? Yeah, that's probably why. That's probably why. So I think it's hilarious. They actually have us debating over whether or not, like, which pet they're eating. All right, if that's where you want to take the conversation. Doug in Gallatin, your thoughts on the debate, sir?
Hey, Chris, love you, man.
Hey, love you back. What's up?
Hey, I thought that Trump did an outstanding job last night. I know that a lot of people are saying that he was off his game, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Trump's been told that he needs to tone down the rhetoric, he needs to do this, do that. I think it's kind of got on his mind, and in the back of his mind, anytime there's, a situation where if it involves race or anything like that, I think he hesitates a little bit because of all the things people have said. But I think if he would just beat Trump, I think he would be fine. And I don't think, I know he won the debate last night. I don't know who lost, whether it was David Manure or whether it was Kamala, but I really think Trump won that, and I think that that's all we need to do. I don't think that there needs to be another debate. I think we just go forward now. And Trump, the other thing is that they said, well, Trump needs to get with a handler or something to do a little bit of training. He doesn't need to. He does that every day on the stump. I mean, he's in 3 different airports a day.
Yep.
That's his preparation right there. And it's always about facts and figures. And, he doesn't have to do that. So,
yep. I'm with you, Doug, man.
You guys have done it.
I appreciate your call, man, and I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much, Doug.
You betcha.
Let's go to Walter. We got time for one more call. Walter, your thoughts on the debate? Yo, Walt. All right. Walter is not there. Sorry, Walter. That was it. That was the last call.
You went through a lot today.
We went through a lot of calls. I love it. I'll tell you what. I haven't been doing this for that long. I started in July of 23. That's the first time I've ever been in talk radio, was July of 23. And these post-debate shows are some of my absolute favorite, because we can all watch the same thing and come away with a different view of what happened. And I love the mashing of ideas, and I love the discussions that we have. And I think that it's just beautiful to have a spot like this on WTN where we can do that. And we don't have to have an echo chamber. We can agree to disagree. We all want what's best for the country, and we can talk it out. And this is one of my favorite things to do. So thank you to everybody that called in today and were part of this discussion. Thank you to everybody that was holding on the line that we couldn't get to. We apologize, but thank you. And thank you to everybody that came out last night to Scoreboard Cedar Creek. That was a fantastic time. They got pictures up on our Facebook page. You got to see the one where they got Murph and they got Wilson to put on cat heads while we held up Cats for Trump signs. It's a gem. It's on our Facebook page, 99.7 WTN. We're going to check in with Matt Murphy next. Hang out with us. It's Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com.
tracking Hurricane Francine, another Trump assassination plot. Coming up at noon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 11:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Matt Murphy comes in here, and you know what he says? He says he thinks I was right about the Taylor Swift thing that I said earlier.
That's not what I said. But I said the same thing that he said. And so we're both right. I said that.
I think it was along the lines of, wow, Chris, you made a great
Chris.
you made a great
turned
point.
me around on that one. So it's my understanding. Hello, Chris.
What's up, dude?
What a great time last night.
Blast.
What an incredible time. What incredible listeners we have. I will admit that it's a little difficult to really dig into the debate during a watch party where there's, 3 or I don't know how many hundreds of people around and everybody's talking and having a good time. It's like you're watching a football game, but you're not watching a football game, you're watching a debate.
Yeah.
And so that's a little more difficult, but it was a lot of fun. Had a great time. Scoreboard, Cedar Creek, fabulous people. I've been at the dentist, so I'm a little out of sorts, but I mean, has Dan Mandis, is he now Kamala Harris guy now? That Tay told him? I mean, is that? I don't know. I haven't.
I think he's a Swiftie for Trump. I think he's one.
Okay,
I think he's part of that movement.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, but I mean, you and I were talking off air that and we're right on the same page on this. I think that was planned to cover for her in case she fell on her face.
Yep.
Now she didn't. I mean, she was her. I mean, she lied about half. I mean, she was there. She did her thing. That's more of the type of thing we expect out of these debates. I think we, as conservatives, libertarians, kind of reset our expectations as Trump supporters because he so destroyed Joe Biden. We kind of wanted that again.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it, and that's fine.
How did you think Trump did?
I thought he was fine. I thought I would have preferred this answer on the 2020 stuff because I'm not interested in selling people who dig deep and understand what happened in 2020. I'm interested in selling those people that don't dig deep. And so I would have preferred answers like, look, I'm not interested in 2020. I'm interested in 2024 and beyond. I'm interested in the future, not the past, that kind of thing. I think overall, I give Donald Trump a B-. I give her a C+ probably. I thought it was fairly contested. I don't think it changed any minds.
Do you want to know what Gloria Johnson thought about Donald Trump's performance?
Oh, no.
Do you want to know?
I'm sorry, that's my Chewbacca impersonation. I apologize.
They get confused. Gloria Johnson said,
what'd she say?
He was just a full-on racist and misogynist.
What?
He actually said she put out. Are his supporters okay with locker room talk in a presidential debate? This says so much about him. He's a sick individual and has no concern for citizens of this country. Now, I say that just to wind you up and say Matt Murphy's up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Come on.